Does science disprove God? The debate between evidence and faith. Have you ever wondered if science is slowly pushing God out of the picture? Every time we discover something new, from the vastness of galaxies to the intricacies of DNA, it feels like we are explaining more and more without ever having to mention a creator. But here's the question. Does that mean God isn't real? Or does it mean we're simply uncovering the tools he used to make the universe? Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to share arguments from both sides that will challenge how you think about this. And I want you to tell me, in the comments, where you stand in this debate. Your opinion might be the one that changes someone else's mind. Let's start with history. Thousands of years ago, humans looked at lightning and thought it was the weapon of an angry god. Earthquakes? A punishment from above. Disease? A curse. But as science advanced, we found natural explanations. Lightning is an electrical discharge in the atmosphere. Earthquakes are tectonic plates shifting. Diseases come from bacteria, viruses, and sometimes our own genetic code. The question is, every time we replace a supernatural explanation with a scientific one, are we erasing God or just understanding his work better? Some scientists believe that as our knowledge grows, the need for a divine explanation shrinks. This is sometimes called the God of the Gaps problem. The idea that God is only used to explain what we don't yet understand. And history shows that those gaps keep getting smaller. But here's where it gets interesting. Even with all our scientific progress, there are still questions science hasn't answered. Why is there something rather than nothing? Why do the laws of physics exist in the first place? Why does the universe seem so precisely tuned for life? This brings us to one of the most fascinating arguments in the philosophy of science, the fine-tuning argument. The constants of the universe, the speed of light, the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, are so specific that even the smallest change would make life impossible. Some see this as clear evidence of design. Others say it is just the result of chance in a vast multiverse. If there are infinite universes, it's not surprising that one of them happens to support life. But then, if the multiverse exists, where did it come from? Philosophers often bring up Occam's razor here, the idea that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. For some, the simplest explanation is that the universe exists naturally without a creator. For others, the simplest explanation is that an intelligent mind created it. Which side feels simpler to you? Let's talk about people, brilliant scientists who have stood on both sides of this line. Isaac Newton, who gave us the laws of motion, saw his work as revealing the order God built into the cosmos. Albert Einstein didn't believe in a personal God, but he spoke often about a cosmic order that inspired awe. On the other hand, Richard Dawkins argues that evolution by natural selection explains life so well that invoking a creator is unnecessary. These aren't just differences in belief. They differences in how people interpret the same evidence. And then there's the question of limits. Science is powerful, but it's not designed to answer every kind of question. It can tell us how the heart pumps blood, but it can't tell us why love feels the way it does. It can measure brain activity, but it can't measure the value of a human life. Some argue that these whys are where God still belongs, not in the shrinking gaps of ignorance, but in the realm of meaning, purpose, and morality. So here's where we stand. Science explains a lot, but not everything. Faith answers questions of meaning, but not necessarily of mechanics. The two can be seen as enemies, or as partners. The truth is, whether science disproves God depends not on the evidence itself, but on the lens you use to interpret it. A believer might look at DNA and see the fingerprint of a creator. A skeptic might see the same DNA and see proof of evolution's power. The evidence is the same. The interpretation is different. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you think science is replacing God or revealing him? Are they in conflict, or are they two different languages describing the same reality? Tell me in the comments. And remember, your perspective might make someone think in a way they never have before. If you enjoyed this discussion, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because next time we're asking an equally controversial question: is morality possible without religion? You don't want to miss it.